Hello, Bruno. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much, my brother.
Well, I'm so happy to have you here today.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. How is it going? How is about life?
No, life is good. Life is good. Everything is doing. Everything is fine.
Nice to hear. Nice to hear that. Well, I just want to know
Okay.
how long have you been living in Sweden?
I've been living here for probably 16 years. Yeah, 16 years.
16 years.
Yeah, 16 years.
Wow. You must have had some experiences traveling around Europe.
Of course, I've lived in Italy previously, but majority of my life have actually been here in Sweden.
Interesting. Interesting. Well, Sweden is a very nice country. I've been hearing about Sweden all my life. Even when I was in secondary school, I've been hearing about Sweden, and I know that they are very good people.
Sweden is a nice place. I wouldn't say otherwise. Sweden has really treated me fine. So I will always, give Sweden, an accolade.
That's right. But how are you dealing with the? I heard that there is a very cold country. How are you dealing with the snow and everything about there?
The thing is this, definitely, Sweden is a country that have a lot of snow. But personally, I live in the southern part of Sweden.
Okay.
Yes, I live in the southern part of Sweden, which means it doesn't snow a lot in the south compared to the north.
Okay.
So in the south, of course, we get snow and all that, but it's less compared to the northern part of the country.
Great. Which countries have border with Sweden?
There is Denmark.
Okay.
Yeah, in the south. We have a border with Denmark. There is a place called Malmo in Sweden, which is located in the southern part of Sweden.
Okay.
So from Malmo to Denmark to their capital is probably like 30 minutes.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, or even less than that, probably like 20 minutes
Okay.
to Copenhagen. Yes, then we have another border with Norway, which is Oslo.
Okay.
The western part of the country. Yes, I think, from Gothenburg to Oslo, which is Norway. From Gothenburg, Sweden to Oslo, Norway is probably like 2.5 hours.
Really?
Yes,
So close.
2.5 hours. Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. Will you say Sweden is a good country to move in?
Yes. Yes. Sweden is a good country to move to. As somebody who is alone or as family, I will recommend moving to Sweden. Okay, yeah, Sweden has been good to me, so I wouldn't discourage anyone that have the intention to move to Sweden. I wouldn't discourage them.
Can you tell me some criterion that made you to advise people to move to Sweden?
Advise people to move to Sweden. I wouldn't say I encourage people to move to Sweden. It has to be personal choice.
Okay.
It's something everyone have to decide for themselves. But personally, Sweden has been good to me. I have a job. It's not that I just walk on the streets.
Yeah, I understand.
But it has been good to me.
Yes.
So if you want to try, if it is something you want to do, why not?
Yeah, that's great. Well, I will say, what was your experiences like getting a job in Sweden?
Getting a job in Sweden was not an easy task for me. It was not an easy task for me because I was probably I was probably at home for like 1.5 years before I was able to get myself a job.
Wow.
The job is Getting a job is It's easy and difficult at the same time, depending on where you live and the type of job we are talking about. But if it is to get something, just anything to survive with, probably like a cleaning job, distribution of newspapers, you can get it a little bit easier, but you need to have, like, relationship with people. You need to have contact. That is what I mean by relationship. You need to
Yeah.
have contact. You have to know someone, to get a job.
All right. If I may say, or if I may ask you again, what kind of job you do?
I work in the health sector. Yeah. I work in the health sector.
Okay. Do you like your job?
Of course, it's something I really, really enjoy. I love working with people.
I love that. I love that.
Working with people.
Have you faced any discrimination as a black person working with the Swedish people?
Have I faced any discrimination, working here in Sweden? Ooh, I wouldn't say that, it has not been my personal experience. If someone doesn't like me as a black person, you know, it's I don't it's not something I do not know. I've not had such an experience, you know. I've not had so, of course, sometimes people might not like you,
Exactly.
people
Exactly.
might not like
Like
you
you.
and all that, but I personally have not had that experience.
No, that's a very good recommendation for Swedish
I've
people.
not had that
I
experience.
love that. Is it easy to get a job in Sweden?
Is it easy to get a job in Sweden? Like I said previously,
Yeah.
it's easy and difficult at the same time, depending on the kind of job you are looking for. If you if you are a professional and you speak Swedish, it's
Good.
easier to assimilate into the society. It's easier to get a job. But I think one of the biggest criteria is the language.
Okay.
You need to be able to speak Swedish. If you can speak Swedish and have a driving license,
Okay.
it's easier to get a job.
Wow.
Yes, it's easier to get a job if you can speak the language. The
Wow.
language, the language is like a key that opens the society to you.
Wow. Last time somebody told me something about Sweden where you have a driver's license, like what do I call it? For big trucks, you're gonna get a job, whether you speak Swedish or not. Is it true?
Yes, yes. Because, like, if you have a license for driving trucks, when I say trucks, these are like, trucks that we drive in industries, so this heavy, it's
Heavy,
not
yeah, like a forklift on.
this forklift, that
Yeah,
is the right word.
yeah.
You can get a job in an industry, but from my personal experience, I wouldn't recommend industry to anyone.
Good.
Sincerely speaking, I know people might not feel comfortable with my answer, but I wouldn't recommend industry to anyone because industry, the thing with industry is this: I just cannot trust them because of, they can
Of
employ you today,
and
tomorrow, then they tell you we don't have sufficient funds to pay you. You might actually lose your job. It's not. It's not guaranteed.
so you are
Yeah.
saying that when you come to Sweden, eventually, if you have a resident permit, you need to go to school and do some program for you to be a professional in particular something. That's what you're saying.
Yes, you need, Sweden emphasized so much about you about studying. Anything you want to do, they want to make sure that you've actually studied it in school. You need to like have a certification.
Okay.
You understand, for anything you want to do. You need to have like most of the jobs. You understand, they demand that you have certification to
Okay.
do it.
That's interesting. Like one certain time ago, I read in article online that our school are free and healthcare are free in Sweden for citizens.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, it's true. Healthcare is free. Um, free. Is it really free? Is it really free? It's being financed with the taxpayers' money. It's the taxpayers that actually finance the healthcare, the school as well. Yeah, school is free, but um, for citizens, it's free. But the thing is this, let's assume you live like 4 5 hours away from your house.
Yeah.
How can you survive? Of course, the school is free, but you might not be able to survive if you need to pay your rent, you need to buy food, you need to clothe yourself.
Of course.
So, is it really, it's not, you cannot be able to like, live if you don't have money, if you don't have resources. So most times, people have to like, resort to like, borrowing money to study so that they can actually afford to pay for their rent and food.
Yeah, I agree with you about
But the school itself is
it's free because
free.
I know most of like in Africa, schools and the healthcare are not free. At least, as you said, in Sweden, schools are and the
Yeah,
healthcare is free,
yeah,
whether financed by government or whatever. So at least citizens are getting something from their politicians and their countries.
yeah,
That's very nice.
yeah, it's free.
That's very nice. I want to know something about Sweden more. What is the easiest way to move to Sweden in 2025?
From my experience, I think the easiest way to move to Sweden in 2025 is through studies.
Okay.
Or through studies, which means you wherever you are, in your country, you solicit for a school, in Sweden, then you come here to study, or you get married to somebody who is a citizen, somebody who is a Swedish citizen, then they can actually
Bring you here in Sweden.
over to Sweden. That is from my from my experience.
Experiences.
That is the
Easiest way to come to Sweden. Yeah, I believe you. If you want to stay back in Sweden after you must have studied, so what is the easiest way, or what can you do to stay back after you must have finished your studies?
I think you need to have a job.
Okay.
Yeah, you need to, after studying and you want to remain in Sweden,
Yeah.
you need to have a job.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and not just a job, you need to have a permanent job, and you need to have a job that pays you sufficient to be able to stay back in Sweden. I think at least after tax, you need to be making like $2,300, $2,200. I stand corrected. I am not 100% sure, but I think it's within that range.
Range.
$2,200, 2000 between $2,200 to $2,500 you need to be making after tax at the end of every month.
Okay. That is interesting. So before you stay back, you need to have a job,
Yeah,
and the company that gave you a job need to give you what do they call it, work permit before you stay back, right?
no. Work permit is being given by the government.
Yes, I know that it's being given by government, but you need to have a job before you have that.
Exactly. For you to get Previously, it was not like this. Previously, if you come to Sweden, you can actually go to the tax office. The tax office will give you no. The thing is this, previously when you come to Sweden, you can go to the immigration.
Immigration.
Then immigration, gives you a work permit. Then you use this work permit to start looking for a job.
Yeah.
But because of the high influx of immigrants, so the government, has restricted this privilege of just giving anybody a work permit. So now they expect you to have a job before they give you this work
the work permit.
Yes.
So, but like how many years? The first work permit they're gonna give you, like how many years it is?
I think it's 2 years. I'm not sure, but I think it's 2 years.
Then after 2 years, what happened again?
After 2 years, I think they extend it again to another 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but if you lose your job before that 2 years, so what are you going to do?
You go back to your
or you look for another job.
Exactly.
So that means after they extend the work permit like 4 years before you get a permanent to stay.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you, Bruno, by telling me all this because I'm curious. I really want to know about Sweden more.
Okay.
I will say thank you for giving me your time and everything. God bless you.
No, Jerry, no problem. I'm always available to answer your question. Then another thing is this, if there is anyone, that have any question about Sweden, they can actually drop it, on the comment section. Then, we can make a video and enlighten people
about
more about it. So if there is anyone, that after watching this video and you have there are questions you have about Sweden, you can drop it in the comment section. Then we're going to answer it. And don't forget to follow the channel Oracle of Destinations.
Yeah.
I know it's a traveling channel. We get it, but we're going to be providing this kind of interviews, going to different countries in Europe, meeting people that live there, asking them questions, that the viewers would like to know. Yeah, we're going to do it. Yes,
viewers, you have heard from the horse's mouth. In case if you want to come to Sweden, you're going to post these videos. So go there, say, I want to come to Sweden. You have heard all the information. Sweden is not a bad country. It's a very good country to stay. When you have permanent, being a citizen in Sweden, healthcare is free. And you can also actually further your education. In case if you want to have a handwork, government will sponsor you to do that perfectly well. So get there and have the experience.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, brother. See you next time.
Jerry's no